Welcome to Dreamed It, Then Real Lifed It, the podcast where we dive deep into the journey from vision to reality. I'm Kelly Jackson, your guide on this path of self-discovery, transformation, and intentional living. Here, we explore everything from mindset shifts and personal growth to spiritual alignment and entrepreneurship, sharing insights, stories, and actionable wisdom to help you live a life in harmony with your dreams. Every episode will dig into what it means to not only dream big, but to actually consciously create the life you envision. Let's turn your dreams into real life. Before we begin, let's land for a moment. You showed up today because part of you is turning toward truth, expansion, and alignment. Sunday Spark is my weekly email created for the ones who are ready to live life in full ownership, to build in rhythm and grow from a place of ease. Each letter includes insights, activation prompts, and practical tools woven through my holistic trifecta, which is optimal health, positive relationships, and wealth building. And the best part? It's only 45 to 90 seconds to read. It's a quick spark, a gentle activation, something you can carry into your week. If you want that kind of moment in your inbox every Sunday, you're invited. Sunday Spark is there. It's ready when you are. The link to join is in the show notes. Welcome to the show. There is this trend that's going around on social media where children are upset, they're crying, they're having some sort of a tantrum, and the adult will just randomly say, "Jessica," and the child stops. Or they might say, "Jessica, where are you?" And the child completely stops. And I keep seeing this by so many different people, right? I've seen lots of versions of it. And when I see it, I'm not seeing a parenting trick. I am seeing pattern interrupt. And it made me realize how much of our lives we spend in loops that we don't even realize we're in. So that is what has inspired me to talk about Jessica today. Okay. So let's talk about first, I don't know if you've seen the trend or not, but we're going to talk about what is actually happening in those videos. Okay. There is a child that is activated. In all the videos I've seen, you don't really see what leads up to it. It's just a child that is crying. Maybe they're being put in a car seat. Maybe they're getting dressed. Maybe they're just at their house. I don't know. I've seen the children in a wide variety of scenarios or situations. You don't see the lead up to why the child became upset. The video starts with an upset child crying, screaming, just maybe rolling around on the ground, all kinds of different situations, but it's classified as a tantrum. And essentially, though, the child is activated, okay? And the nervous system is looping. And the brain is predicting what happens next because it's in that loop. And then something unexpected happens. Jessica. Who's Jessica? And the loop breaks. So confusion brings awareness back online. So to a nervous system that is escalated, locked in to a loop, and running something automatic And then suddenly something unexpected happens that breaks the loop. The child pauses. They kind of look around. The system resets. And awareness comes back online. So I realized after I kept seeing, I don't even have a young child. Like, this is typically younger children, right? So the fact that this keeps coming in my feed, I'm not like parenting young children or anything. And I realized, though, after probably my 20th or more Jessica video, that, oh yeah, this is exactly what I talk about. Patterns, nervous system states, awareness versus embodiment, interrupting subconscious loops, returning to yourself. Basically, this trend is really and truly, it's just a visible, almost exaggerated example of it happening in real time. And once that light bulb went off, I was like, oh, heck yeah, we're going to talk about this on the podcast because it's a good one. And I like that because some of us are visual learners, right? And so to be able to have this conversation, which is really important to all of us, because we all get stuck in loops, myself included. I'm going to share some personal examples of that here in a minute. But so this is good. And being able to have this trend that's going on right now, if you haven't already seen it, you know how the universe works. Now that you're listening to this episode, you will absolutely see it. Kind of like you just talk about wanting to go somewhere, and the next time you get online, there's like an ad for a plane ticket to that place. And you're like, wait, I just like said that to my friend 2 hours ago. How is this even possible? But you know, that's how it works. So if you haven't already seen the Jessica trend, you'll probably see it after listening to this episode. And if you have seen it, then you know what I'm talking about. And so this is a good, really good visual example. Like I said, like an exaggerated example of this happening in real time. And that's exciting. So I want to talk about it. And guys, what I want to talk about, it's not parenting hacks. That's not what we're here to talk about. I'm here to ask you, what interrupts your loop? Because adults are still doing the same thing as those kids are. We're spiraling, reacting, repeating, staying active, just in more socially acceptable ways. We're still doing it though. And we like to think that we grew out of that, but we didn't. So I'm going to tell you what some of the adult loops are, because you might be going, well, what do you mean? Well, I'm going to tell you what I mean. Overthinking. Okay, I had to start with that one because that's a big one. And a lot of us overthink. And I've been known to be an overthinker myself. You know, it's something I'm working on and I've gotten way, 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 way better at, but I'm still on that journey. So overthinking can look like replaying a conversation from earlier and thinking of 10 different ways you should have responded, or having a conversation and feeling really good about it at the time. Maybe you met someone new, or maybe it was even somebody you know, and you had this great talk and it was deep, and then you get home or you go later and then you're like, did I say too much? Did I overshare? It felt good at the time and now I wish I could take it back. You know, like, and you're overthinking. Sitting down to make a simple decision and you end up researching and second guessing and then like not choosing anything at all. So we overthink as adults. I'm sure you can come up with some of your own examples there as well. We go into anxiety spirals. Let's say you have an upcoming event or something that's coming up, and you will run through every possible worst case scenario before that event. And you'll end up feeling drained before you even get there, or end up like rehearsing conversations in your head and convincing yourself that something's going to go wrong before anything has actually even happened. So those anxiety spirals are another loop that we can get stuck in. Repeating relationship patterns. It is no secret I used to do this before the celibacy journey, that intentional celibacy journey, because I realized I was just attracting the same type of partner with a different face and wondering why it kept ending the same way. And the constant in all those relationships was me. I was repeating a loop. And also, as adults, we tend to know that our needs aren't being met, but we stay anyway, and we call it patience or understanding or whatever. Again, we stay in a loop. Repeating relationship patterns in general, that's loop behavior. And self-doubt is another common adult loop, right? Like having a clear idea or instinct about something and then immediately questioning it until you like talk yourself out of taking action. Or maybe you receive an opportunity and then you're like assuming you're not ready instead of considering that you might actually be ready. We get stuck in avoidance loops, like knowing exactly what needs to be done, but then suddenly feeling the urge to clean or to scroll or to do anything else instead of what needs to be done. And then we're like, oh, but I'm cleaning. This is a good thing. I'm cleaning. Well, I mean, not if you're avoiding doing the thing that you should actually be doing and that you know that you should be doing, but you're like, but I'm cleaning. This is good. I know y'all know what I'm talking about. Telling yourself, I'll do it later. And then you repeat that same sentence for days or weeks. I'll start meal prepping later. I'll start working out later. I'll start organizing that clutter later, right? Like, I'll do it later. But how long have you been saying that you were going to do it later? Another common burnout cycle or loop would be burnout cycles. And yeah, I know that I used to do this really big time. So I was like, push yourself super hard, hit a wall, rest just enough to recover, and then you're jumping right back into the same pace. And it's just this, I remember back in the busy like a badge of honor days when my health was suffering in literally every way imaginable, physical, mental, emotional, spiritual. It was all in the gutter. And at the time, I mean, I was running on like fumes. I was not prioritizing sleep and would only get a couple hours of sleep a night on average, maybe 4. And then I would go often, I would pull all-nighters. I just would not go to sleep. And I would do that kind of back to back sometimes, like not 2 nights back to back, but I mean, within 1 week, I might have 2 all-nighter days and then be getting only a couple hours of sleep a night. And I would just crash and my body would crash and I would get sick and just all these things. But did I stop? No, that went on for years, guys. It went on for years. It was crazy. Another with burnout, it's like you're feeling exhausted. You're promising you'll slow down next time, and then you ignore your limits. And the moment things pick back up, again, I did that all the time. So again, as adults, we're still looping. We've just learned how to make it look normal. And a child's tantrum is obvious. An adult's loop can sometimes be invisible. And so that's why we're talking about it. That's why we're talking about it, Jessica. All right. So all that to say this, I'm watching, I'm realizing, I'm like, guys, this like totally ties into everything that I teach. Okay. This is why awareness matters so much, because awareness is the interruption. So think about this, kid. So awareness is like the pause. You become aware, then you pause. And then when you pause, when you break that loop long enough to just pause, now you have a choice. Because before the pause, you just, right? We're crying. And we're just crying in the loop. And then something captures our awareness. There's and we pause. Otherwise, we're just going to keep crying. And now with that choice, with that pause, we have a choice. And with that choice, we can insert a new pattern. You don't break the loop by forcing change. You break it by seeing clearly enough that you can stay, that you can't stay unconscious inside of it any longer. Okay? And this right here, this is exactly why I created the reset room. Have y'all heard about the reset room yet? It's new. If you hadn't heard about it, don't worry. I just announced it last week. But I'm going to tell you a little bit about it here. This is one of the reasons really why I created it, because the reset room, it's a virtual space where we come in, it's ongoing, we work together. It is not about adding more information. It's not a course, it's not a program. It's not more information, okay? It's not more tools or more things to fix yourself with. It's not any of that. It's having a space where you can actually interrupt the loop in real time. Okay? Where you're not just aware of what you're doing, but you have the support to pause, to shift, and to choose something different while you're still inside of it. Because most people do not need another breakthrough. They need a place where their nervous system can settle enough to use what they already know. And the reset room is that space, okay? It is where awareness becomes usable and where patterns can be seen without judgment, and where you can start responding to your life instead of reacting from the same unconscious loop over and over again. And one of the things I said earlier this last week when I was announcing the reset room, and I'm going to say it again here, my role in all this, so it is an ongoing space where you have access to me throughout the month. It's a virtual space, and we do live calls, and we have ongoing daily support and access to me via once you're inside of the reset room. And one of the things that I said is my role is not to handhold. It is not to play therapist. My role in the reset room is to notice your patterns, to break, to interrupt them, and to redirect you to action. And the reset room is where you go to become the version of yourself that you keep saying you want to be. And definitely patterns. That's why it fits here. This is what we're going to be doing. And it's helpful to have someone else that can hold up the mirror, reflect back to you, and redirect you, help you break the pattern in real time. So remember how I said at the beginning of this that even me, that adults in general, we also, like children, repeat loops, and that I do as well. And I wanted to mention one loop that I realized I was in. And here's the thing, it's not even a bad thing. Yet it was restricting me. And so I want to talk about this loop because it may just be a little unexpected. Maybe it's not what you're expecting me to say, but I feel like there's something here that will resonate. So I want to share. So for the last couple years, I've been going to Leela. That's the name of the yoga studio where I go. It's on Highland Road, the historic Highland Road, scenic Highland Road in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. It's beautiful. It was an old bridal boutique. Actually, before that, when I was in college, it was like a bartending school. So it was a bartending school and then a bridal boutique, and now it's a yoga studio. What a life that building has had. And I love Leela. And Leela means divine play in Sanskrit, and I love that as well. If y'all ever see me wearing my Leela necklace, sometimes I do like to wear that necklace. It was gifted to me, but also because I love the yoga studio, and also I love what Leela stands for, which is divine play. And it's a reminder to, not take myself so seriously and to enjoy life and have fun and play. And I do. That is something that I aim to embody as I move through life. And hopefully you can see that if you follow me along on social media or know me in real life, then hopefully that's something you go, oh yeah, I see that. So sometimes people do think your name is Leela because it looks like a little name necklace, but that's okay. It's just an opportunity for me to talk about Leela. All that to say, so I've been going to Leela for a couple years, and there's 2 classes, Andrew's classes. Andrew's an advanced Ashtanga teacher there, Andrew Linton. Definitely check out his classes if you've never been to one. And I've been going to Andrew's classes faithfully every Wednesday and Saturday for a couple years, and love the classes so much, and really just arranged my life around that schedule. My family supported it. Everyone knew. So my girls were always taken care of. My life, I just planned life around these classes. And that was what I wanted to do. That was what I was choosing to do. That was what felt right to do. I enjoyed the discipline. I enjoyed the community, enjoyed the Dharma talks, just Andrew's teachings, everything about it, the physical practice, the spiritual practice, the mental, emotional, just the whole, all of it. It was all there. And so it was where I wanted and needed to be. And so again, for a couple years, that was just faithfully every Wednesday, every Saturday. Now, of course, if I was out of town, I wouldn't go or something like that. And I would go to other classes as well, but those were the 2 I did not miss. Now, as I've told y'all in some other episodes, I've talked about this before, always in December, kind of will pull away from the studio. I say pull away, but just I return to my home practice. It's my birthday month. It's the holidays. There's a lot more traveling. There's a lot going on, and it's the winter. It's hibernation. It just feels more like and there's just a lot going on too. So December, I always kind of return to my home practice, but typically in January, I come back to the studio. And this year, as you guys know, way before, even 6 weeks before Thanksgiving, is when I started really actively communicating with the people who ultimately would ended up getting Pongo to his forever home. And guys, if there's those 3 episodes, the trilogy about Pongo and that whole experience and stewardship, living fully in temporary chapters and all of that, 1010 recommend you tune into that. Those were episodes from last month. But anyway, so everything was happening with Pongo. He was it was his last month here after 3.5 years fostering him. He would be leaving the 2nd of February. And so it was just, I did not return to the studio. I was being called to return to my home practice, spend time, be with him, close that chapter. And then he left at the beginning of February. And then it was like my life that I just got out of a 3.5 year relationship, caretaking relationship, and now my life looked totally different. And so again, I was feeling called to return to my home practice, not to go back to the studio while I was adjusting. And then March happened. What ended up happening in that time period, though, was me not going. I broke the loop. And all of a sudden, I had options that they'd always existed, but I was not allowing myself to participate or engage or anything with these options because of the discipline I had for this Wednesday and Saturday. And so I'll give you an example. I end up going to a first Wednesday at the Baton Rouge Gallery, which is the local art gallery in town. And on the first Wednesday of every month, they open it up for the reception for the new featured artists for the month. And there's a band out there, and there's food and drinks, and there's just so many people, the community, the culture. It's amazing. They host a wonderful party. And it's like I went with some friends or met some friends there. And I was like blown away by how many people that I knew there. And it was like, oh my gosh, this has been here all along. And I've not been coming to this. And I mean, I've been an artist my whole life, lived in Baton Rouge my whole life. So I go to this opening night at the Baton Rouge Gallery. And truly, I mean, it's just every couple steps I took, it was somebody I knew. And I was like, oh my gosh, these are my people. This is my community. And yoga is my people, my community too. However, this is something I don't even have to say I would have loved to have been doing, because I believe that this is coming back into my life at the divine right time. However, it made me realize that, okay, wait, I'm going to be returning to my Wednesday night yoga classes. However, now that I've got to experience this and be here for this and realize I want this in my life too. Now I know that the first Wednesday I can go to the art gallery. And then the other Wednesdays, I can go to my yoga class. And the same thing for Saturdays. It was like once I broke the loop, on a Saturday morning, I go to the farmers market, but it's the first Saturday of the month when they also have the arts market. And I see several of my artist friends that are set up there and get to go support them and visit with them. And of course, some of my people I know that sell in the farmers market and get to go visit with them as well. And I realize, like, man, this is something I love to do too. And so the first Saturday of the month, I can come do this and go to yoga on the other Saturdays. And all this to say, so sometimes even a really good thing, like, it was a beautiful shift. Okay. I broke a pattern, and it wasn't by rejecting the discipline that I loved. Okay. It was by realizing that staying rigid was keeping me from discovering other dimensions of life. And so now I'm finding balance, and I'm embracing both worlds. Okay. And it's not out of obligation or anything, but this is out of choice. And that's what makes it feel truly aligned. And was this a loop? Was I in a loop? Yeah, I was in a loop. It was one where I was so dedicated to my routine that I didn't even notice what else I might be missing. And loops often keep us on autopilot, even if they start with good intentions, okay? And the key here in what I did was stepping out, gaining perspective, and now consciously choosing balance rather than being stuck in a pattern. And I want y'all to hear that. First, you got to know this. Recognizing the loop is half of the work. The fact that you can consciously shift, that's half the work. Okay. And like I'm in this yoga example. So now I'm blending both worlds. All right. And that shows I'm no longer on autopilot. Instead, I am intentionally designing my rhythm. And that's where the real alignment happens. Speaking of alignment, did you catch last week's episode? The unplanned path to alignment, why going with the flow works. Guys, that was all about a totally planned day that went nothing as planned. And I will say one more thing about that episode. I realized after I recorded the whole episode that I started the episode first. Okay, I started the episode by saying this whole day, nothing went as planned. Even the fact that I am sitting here recording this podcast episode right now, like this wasn't even planned. So, and then I went on talking. And then I went the whole episode, closed it off, finished it out, and I told Chloe, my apprentice, be sure you're following the podcast apprenticeship series that she and I have going on. So Chloe was in here with me, and I finished up recording, and then I was like, oh my gosh, Chloe, I didn't even talk about why the fact that I'm here right now wasn't planned. Like I left that out. So I'm going to tell you right now, because we're talking about alignment. So last week, I wasn't planning on recording that episode. I had a guest that was supposed to be coming, and that guest had to reschedule last minute. They got hung up out of town where they are to where I am, and we rescheduled for like the following week or 2 weeks later, whatever it was. But so I was already coming to the recorded studio for this guest episode, and that's why I wasn't even planning on recording, because I was planning on having a guest. So I wanted to mention that now, in case you did listen to that episode and you're like, why didn't you finish that story? That was the story. And then if you didn't listen, tune in. That was episode 78. And I mentioned that because I'm talking about alignment. Okay. And that alignment's the name of the game. That's what we're really all going for, is alignment. That's the sweet spot of life. So all this to say, when I saw that trend, it made me realize I don't need to fix everything. I need to interrupt the loop. Same with you, same with what I wanted to talk about. It's like Jessica. It's break the loop. I did that with yoga. I'm looking forward to returning back to my classes, and now out of choice. And again, I wanted you to hear that because some loops start with good intentions. And again, I'm not mad about it. I was where I wanted and needed to be for those couple years. And now I'm also glad that I stepped back, that I broke the loop, and now I can make a different choice. So the question becomes, what interrupts your loop? Okay. So, I mean, it could be stepping outside. It could be saying something out loud, changing your environment, noticing the thought instead of following it. A little breathe-in practice. I don't know. I can't tell you what it is. You have to come up with that. But the question becomes, again, what interrupts your loop? Figure it out. Most people think that they are stuck, but they're not stuck. They are looping. And the moment you interrupt the loop, even if it's for a second, you realize you were never trapped. You were just unconscious. Awareness is not the finish line. Awareness is the interruption. And sometimes all it takes is your version of Jessica. You know what? Maybe you even say Jessica. It'll be like a little inside joke. You'll just be like, Jessica, break your own loop. Maybe Jessica will work for you too, okay? Break the loop. Remember, I'm going to say, like we said in the beginning, when you're activated, when your nervous system is looping, when the brain is predicting what's happened next, you got to break the loop. And with something unexpected, Jessica, you pause, the system resets, awareness comes back online. And then you can return to yourself, and now you can make a new choice, right? Awareness, you pause, you can choose, you choose a new pattern. All right, guys, I hope that you enjoyed this one. I hope you found something helpful out of it. If you haven't seen the Jessica video, I bet you see it today. I'll talk to you next week. Oh, we got a guest next week. That guest I was talking about, the one who was supposed to come last week and we had to reschedule, or you know what I'm talking about. That's the guest. And they will be here for our 4/20 drop date. Release on 4/20. It's a little clue about who our guest is going to be. But I guess you'll have to tune in next week to find out. I'll see you then. Bye-bye. Thank you for tuning in to Dreamed It, Then Real Lifed It. I hope today's episode sparked something powerful within you. Remember, every step you take towards your vision counts, no matter how small. If you enjoyed today's conversation, please take a second to hit that subscribe button or leave a review. That would be amazing. Or share the podcast with someone who's ready to bring their dreams into reality too. And if you're looking to dive deeper, connect with me on social media at Dreamed It, Then Real Lifed It, or at BE_what you want. Or visit dreameditthenreallifedit.us for more resources on aligning your life, business, and dreams. Until next time, keep dreaming and keep manifesting your dreams into real life. Love you, friends.